Hello again and welcome to Golden Moments. I'm Bruce Howard. It was 40 years ago that the University of Tulsa men's basketball team went on an epic run, winning the National Invitation Tournament in New York City. They electrified the city of Tulsa and energized an athletic department. Of course, that team was led by iconic Nolan Richardson, the head coach for the Golden Hurricane, hired in 1980. How important was that hiring? How important was that 80-81 team? Well, consider this. In the 40 years previous to 1980, the Golden Hurricane had 21 losing seasons, only one NCAA tournament bid, and only 3 NIT tournament bids. After 1980, the Golden Hurricane, 39 years, 34 winning seasons, 15 NCAA tournament bids, 1 Elite Eight, 3 Sweet 16s, and 2 NIT championships. There's no question, and you cannot overstate how important that 80-81 team was to the University of Tulsa basketball program. In this Golden Moments Rewind, we take a look back at that classic 80-81 basketball team. After 5 straight losing seasons, the University of Tulsa hired Nolan Richardson as head coach in March of 1980. Coming from success in a national championship at the JUCO ranks, he promised up-tempo, high-octane excitement, and boy, did he deliver. The ascension of Tulsa basketball under Nolan Richardson began with a couple of fairly nondescript wins over Central State and Southwest Missouri State. Then it was number 8 and defending national champion Louisville coming to Tulsa. This was that high-flying, dunking Louisville team under Coach Denny Crum. Perhaps astonishing, but more likely a sign of the times, the legendary Hall of Fame coach didn't know much about Tulsa.
Oh, I don't know a lot about him. I know a little bit about the junior college team that played last year at Texas Western or West Texas, and I know that the style that they like to play.
The Cardinals would find out in a hurry about the Hurricane once the game began, as Tulsa would play the defending champs chest to chest. The Hurricane would force 35 turnovers and get 18 steals, and David Brown would lead 5 players in double figures, and TU was on their way to a 68-60 upset and definitely a signature win early. How frustrated was Louisville? Late in the game, Wiley Brown of Louisville sucker punches TU's Brown. Again, something you don't see much today. So Nolan Richardson was on his way to capturing the heart of Tulsa. It was at this time the unofficial song of Hurricane basketball developed. Ain't No Stoppin' Us Now by McFadden and Whitehead became the theme for this flamboyant, exuberant, hard-working, and high-flying team, and the fans loved it. Wins over OU, OSU, Purdue, and number 16 Wichita State would follow, but there were some valleys as well in the rugged Missouri Valley Conference. 6 losses, including a tournament semifinal defeat to Creighton that ended TU's NCAA hopes. At that time, the NCAA took only 48 teams, and TU was not one of them. But a reprieve for the 21-7 Hurricane would come in the form of a National Invitation Tournament bid. Fortunately enough, the buzz and excitement surrounding the Hurricane convinced the NIT to move TU's early games to the Mabee Center in Tulsa, and the Hurricane responded with a 10-point win over Pan American, a 5-point win over UTEP, and then with a trip to the Big Apple on the line, they edged South Alabama by 1 to secure a spot in the NIT semifinals in New York. Paul Pressey then paced TU to another close win in the semis, an 89-87 victory over West Virginia, and the Golden Hurricane was ready for the finals at Madison Square Garden against the Syracuse Orangemen. At TU, a watch party at the Great Hall at Westby Center with apples for everybody. In New York, a game for the ages. It was a young Jim Boeheim of Syracuse coaching against 38-year-old Nolan Richardson of Tulsa. Early on, the Hurricane held the advantage, Paul Pressey getting it going for TU, and then Pressey sets up David Brown with one of his vintage rubber band man passes, and Brown finishes. TU would have a lead as large as 11 in the first half, and they led 48-42 at halftime. But Syracuse would battle back, Eric Sandifer with the slam, and the Orange would lead by as many as 7. But TU restole the lead down the stretch. Syracuse, though, had one last gasp, and their prayer was answered on this Sandifer shot at the buzzer. It tied the game and sent it into overtime. In OT, for the first 4+ minutes, each team scored only 2 points. Then Bob Stevenson found Greg Stewart underneath, and Stewart, who would be the tournament MVP, gave TU a 2-point lead. This time, Syracuse came up short with their final effort, and Tulsa had captured their first ever NIT title with an 86-84 win over Syracuse, a celebration on the court, as the Hurricane had won a record 26 games and had energized the entire city, and a celebration in Tulsa. The reaction was incredible. Fans flocked to the airport at 4 in the morning to greet the team coming back from New York City, and the coach was overwhelmed.
The greatest thing was that we all believed in ourselves, and I'm so happy that our players just believed and just enjoyed at least a few 4 or 5 months of celebration of being a national invitational champions.
And then a celebration in the heart of the city, downtown Tulsa. The fans came out once again to celebrate with the Hurricane on a beautiful late March day. There have been 36 NIT champions crowned since 1980, including TU in 2001. But you can argue that no title has been as important and instrumental to an athletic department, a university, or a city than that classic 1981 title won by the Golden Hurricane.